Metal Up World, this is CJ with Metal Motivation coming at you with another vlog. Today I want to talk to you about fear and how you can actually overcome some of the fears in your life. We all have fears. Everybody has a fear to some degree, but fear is basically an emotional pain. Fear is an emotional pain that's based on a belief. Now that's interesting because you think about it, a belief is not something that actually transpires. It's something that you just believe. You adhere to it as if it had transpired. So whether we're talking about the fear of failure, whether we're talking about the fear of success, whether we're talking about fears of rejection or any other kind of fear, you are afraid of something that actually hasn't happened yet. So it is a belief, which is why the focus of our attention needs to be on our belief system if we're going to eradicate, dispel, or weaken the fears in our life and begin to take action. Because the more you have courage, the more you have the opposite of fear, which would be a form of faith. Faith also is a belief, right? It is a belief that when you take action, certain results are going to happen that are going to benefit you. They're not going to be painful. They're going to be actually more pleasurable. They're going to bring joy. They're going to bring a sense of fulfillment in your life if you take steps towards them. So let's talk about some basic fears, for example, like fear of failure. What is the fear of failure? The fear of failure is when you have this assumption that you never do things well, that you always are going to fail. But the fear aspect comes in is that you don't want to do something because you're almost assured that you will fail. And when you are failing, then everybody's going to see what a loser you've always known that you are. So you never really take a stab at it because you're afraid of that aspect of the exposure of yourself. What is the fear of success? The fear of success is a little bit different. You know you have the ability to do it. You know that if you took action, you could actually get some things done and achieve some things, but you're afraid of what that achievement might bring. You're afraid of success, and success brings a greater responsibility. It brings people and resources into your life that you're now going to have to manage, and you've never managed anything that big before. So in order to avoid the responsibilities and obligations that accrue because of success, you are reluctant to step out and get it. That is the fear of success. And of course, there's always the fear of rejection. We hate to be rejected by people. I've never liked that before. For example, I'm an extrovert. An extrovert is someone who draws energy from other people. An introvert is someone who gets their energy by getting away from people. They like to be by themselves. They like to spend a lot of time alone. For me, if I spend too much time alone, it actually is a form of stress for me. Stress can come in basically two ways. You can become stressed because you are overextending your personalities. Like say, for example, you have a fear of speaking in front of large groups of people, and I put you in that situation. You are overextending your personality, therefore it causes you stress. It can be the opposite as well. If you have to withhold, if you have to restrain your personality, you're also going to cause yourself stress. So if I have to be by myself, for example, all the time, it actually becomes stressful to me because I draw energy from people being an extrovert. But whether introvert or extrovert, nobody likes to be rejected. Not by parents, not by a loved one, not by friends, not by anything else. Nobody likes to be rejected. So we have a fear of those things. So we might avoid certain relationships because we fear rejection, or we might go into certain habits of mechanisms that we might use in order to avoid that aspect of rejection. But again, these are beliefs. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection. Any type of fear is based on a belief because it's based on something we do not know has happened yet. So fear is an emotional pain that is based upon an assumption about the future. You are assuming what the future is going to be like. Again, whether it's a fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, you're making a prediction or assumption about the future. And fear is basically rooted in the unknown. Whether you're a child or fully grown, fear is rooted in the unknown. Now, I wrote an article about this earlier this week, so let me read just a bit of it to you. I wrote, when you were a child, you feared things like the dark because a child does not fear failure, success, or rejection. At least not until a psycho parent instills that in him. That's an important point to recognize, is that a child is typically at that age not afraid of success or doesn't suffer from the fear of failure. Unless, again, like a parent just really instilled that in him. But a typical average child doesn't fear those things. Those are things that we fear as we get older. However, fear of failure, success, or rejection are really just grown-up versions of a child's fear of the dark. They are assumptions about what lurks ahead of you. So you're afraid of the dark because it's a fear of the unknown. You can't see anything around you. The room is totally black. You can't see anything, so you don't know. But if we turn on the light, then that very same room suddenly is cleaned not only of darkness, but also cleaned and purged of fear. Because now that the light is shining, you now know what lurks ahead of you. Nothing lurks ahead of you. It's just the room. But when we turn off the lights, then fear is born, because fear is based in the unknown. So if you want to get over your fears, you're going to have to turn on the light. And what is the light? The light is knowledge, wisdom, understanding. This is light. Light is truth. It's information. And so the way I look at it is this way. You want to be able to base your life on the most unquestionable information possible. What do I mean by unquestionable information? People often ask, what is the truth? How do you define truth? For me, truth is unquestionable knowledge. Knowledge that simply cannot be questioned. You simply cannot doubt it. And the closer you get to unquestionable knowledge, the more the lights are on, the more sure your footing is. So, for example, the most unquestionable type of knowledge that we have are things like mathematics. It's impossible for me, for example, to doubt that 2 + 2 = 4. Now, for all of you philosophy students, yes, I know we can talk on and on and on about illusion and all of these type of things. I get that. I understand. But I mean, basically, most of us do not ever go to sleep and have a fear that when we wake up the next morning, 2 + 2 is somehow going to start equaling 5. So as far as unquestionable knowledge goes, something like 2 + 2 = 4 is absolutely unquestionable. So that's what I would consider truth. So whenever you're consulting, this is a side note, self-help information, and they get into things like the law of attraction or mind over matter or some other sort of thing where they wheel out testimony after testimony, that Bob earned $5,000 his first month by manifesting it, and, Shelley over here earned so much money because she did this. The more you have to bring in testimonies, probably the less likely they're dealing with the truth, because the truth is simply unquestionable. If I tell you 2 + 2 = 4, it's unquestionable knowledge. Well, let's expand that a little bit. Let's say you're in bad financial situation, and I tell you, if you spend less money than you earn, spend less money that you earn, pay off your debts, and save 10% of your income, do that for a year, and you will be in much, much better financial situation than you are now. Do I need to bring someone out to testify to that? Do I need to bring out an interview of someone who actually did that? Or do you just know it based on the information itself? If you are eating less calories than you burn in a given day, then you're going to lose weight. Simple, right? You don't need somebody to come out and tell you that they did it and proved it. You know it just based on the words themselves. You know it based on what I just said. So when it comes to the thing that you're afraid of, you need to dispel the darkness of fear by turning on the light, and that is understanding the nature of what you're afraid of. You've got to understand more, know more, and learn more about it so that you have more light, more understanding, and more truth, and you'll be more courageous to begin to step out. And then as you start to step out, then that's going to dispel fear even more, because nothing does it more than action. When action and principle are married, that's when you really begin to be set free, which is why the information is so important. So do that. No matter what it is, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, anything, realize that if friends don't like you for a particular reason or something like that, that doesn't change your life forever. They just may be the wrong group of people. You need to find out what's going on, and maybe there are things about you that you actually need to change. You can begin to work on those things. You can begin to do things that change those circumstances and, again, begin to dispel those fears. So light is that which dispels the darkness, and the fears that we have, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, are simply grown-up versions of a child's fear of the dark. Can you dig that? I hope you can. This is CJ with Metal Motivation, and remember, in whatever you do, don't suck. Metal up.